Hi, you're with Christine and Ask Your Angels, and this is the Age of Aquarius, and we're returning guest, Allison Price from Starzology. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here again.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you. So we're going to talk about the Age of Aquarius, and what exactly is the Age of Aquarius?
Well, the astrological ages that we're about to go into generally start there a period of, say, 2,000 years. And we've recently come out of the Age of Pisces, and we're at the threshold of moving in towards the Age of Aquarius. And this is particularly people like yourself who do spiritual matters and raising consciousness within the world and broadening spirituality in itself is very much a part of the Age of Aquarius. The fact that you even do this show at all is an indication of that, and also the other business you have running that I know about as well. I know.
Other business?
The BizNet group meeting, what you have.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the puppets. I do puppets. I do.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, so that's what I was talking about. And the Age of Aquarius is very much to do with humanity. It's to raise consciousness for globally. It's a way to generally, when the ages change from the Age of Pisces, say, to the Age of Aquarius or whatever, what people believe changes. So religion is part of that, but it's also beliefs and what is valuable and what isn't, and which perhaps even gods they would honour at the time, which has changed over the times as each age has changed.
So based on that, would you say that the Age of Aquarius is a spiritual age?
Very much so, yes, yes. It's, even though the Age of Pisces was particularly more to do, starting with 0 BC when Christianity was raised up, and also but Islam and Buddhism came at the same time, main religions came in, and now during the Age of Aquarius, as at the dawning of the age, we're finding perhaps that people are looking for other solutions to believe in something greater. And Aquarius itself is a sign that rules humanity, and this idea of the brotherhood of man is really going to gain traction during this period.
Here's a question that you might not be expecting,
Okay.
but it just came to mind. What is the difference between the Age of Aquarius and the star sign Aquarius? Are they they're two totally different things, are they not?
Yes, they were originally based on the same principles, but the Age of Aquarius occurs at, we've recently had the equinox, right, on yesterday, and that's when the sun crosses the celestial equator, moving north. Anyway, this particular point in time is slowly moving backwards through the different constellations, and which are different to zodiac signs. So what you have is that because it's actually going backwards, that's why we're going Pisces, Aquarius, whereas normally we would go Aquarius, Pisces when we're talking about sun sign astrology. Sun sign astrology is on the zodiac signs, and these are the actual signs that the sun goes through during the course of the year.
Okay.
Whereas the precession of the equinoxes, which is what I'm talking about, goes through the constellation, and therefore if Aquarius is slightly wider than Pisces, for instance, this is why it may not be 2,000 years, it may be 2,600 years, and there's variability, and there's no exact day when you can say the Age of Pisces has ended and the Age of Aquarius is coming in.
Okay. Well, thank you. That clears that up for me. I hope
did
that
it clear it up, or just raise more questions?
Well, hey, if you have more questions, you know what to do. Just chat them into us. How have astrological ages changed over history, leaving visual icons?
Yes, well, if we go back through the actual ages, before Pisces we had Aries, and if we go even back further to starting, say, at the Age of Leo, which was 10,000 to 8,000 BC, which is way far into humanity's past, that was actually the end of the last ice age, when the fiery Leo basically melted the ice, and this is really when I don't know if we have records going back that far, but this is basically as far as we would normally go. And this was a period in history where man actually learned to control fire. And this actually changed the way they lived as well, way back then, 8000 BC.
Controlling fire as in making fires?
Yes,
or?
yes, they could make fire and suddenly things would change. They could cook the food they'd killed and warm themselves and hopefully survive through more winters, because the population of the earth was so much less in those days.
I would imagine.
I know, but that was when the vernal equinox was then through Leo.
I grew up with a best friend who was a Leo, and she was fiery.
Yes, indeed. Well, aren't we all?
Yes.
Yes. So, and that's one of the first ones that we go back to. Looking further, more forward from that, from 8000 to 6000 BC, we have the age of Cancer, and Cancer is the sign that has to do with the home, the family, and protection and preservation.
Oh my gosh, my sister's a Cancer, and she's just like that.
Yes, absolutely.
She's all about home and family.
Absolutely. And this was the time when the people of the earth started to, I would call it, pray to a mother goddess. They believed and they realized how the moon was working through the cycles. It's the first time that settlements were actually created, where people started banding together and actually having a home. And actually pottery was discovered during that period, so that they could create bowls to carry water from the stream and oil from what have you and milk from their clams. And they were able to build themselves up in all the Cancerian type things and preserve their foods, protect their families. And the family unit could, it was the really first time it had ever occurred. And that's during that 2000 year period, during the age of Cancer.
So really, every age, every sign represents an age that's significant. Something significant like
Indeed.
that happened.
Yes.
See, up until now, I'm probably like most people. It's like, okay, the stars are aligned a certain way, so that kind of looks like a guy on a horse. That's Sagittarius,
Exactly.
which is me. And this is what your future
Join
is.
the dots,
and
yes.
yeah, but I never realized that. That's really interesting.
Indeed. And
So-
this is how it's progressed. So it's not just the age of Aquarius hasn't just appeared out of nowhere. It might have just come into our consciousness, but there are past in the history, and that's when you look back, you can see the reflection in the astrology of the time as well.
See, I'd like to go back over every single star sign and find out what is significant about it.
Exactly.
How much time do you have?
Well,
I find that fascinating.
it is. It's actually interesting when you realise how it's actually working and how the different ages generally are, give or take 2000 years. Some are longer, some are shorter. There is no exact day where you can say the age of Pisces ended and today the age of Aquarius has started. It's something that is gradually coming in. It's a shift in consciousness for the people as well. These are huge changes.
Is this why people... Now, I don't know, equinox was yesterday, you said.
Yes.
So, but I know a lot of people about, what's it been now, 3 weeks, a month ago?
What?
We're all saying that there was some significant shift. We were all feeling like headaches, depression. I mean, I'm a very positive person, but I had depression and fatigue, and everybody was saying the same thing. We all felt out of sorts.
That was 3 weeks ago. The sun was moving through Pisces, and if you're not actually a watery sign, you're going to find that to be a little bit, I wouldn't say depressing, but it can maybe hold you back a little bit, knowing you're a fire sign yourself. But now the sun has moved into Aries yesterday, and so suddenly the vigor's back, the action's back, the drive's back. Let's get out there and do things. And
I feel like that. I just thought it was because I was on vacation and I'm rested.
Yes, indeed. And what a great vacation you had by the looks of you.
Right. And hey, I cut my vacation short to come back and do this show with Allison. So I hope you guys are watching and you appreciate it. What can you tell us about the great year?
Yes, now the great year is actually when this particular point, the vernal equinox, goes all the way round the zodiac, and it takes 26,000 years to do so. So that is why.
And we're in the great year now?
Well, yes, but we're in the great month of Aquarius, as it were, in the great year.
Okay.
So these periods of these 2,000 and odd years are the actual sort of little months, 12 of them going around the great year, and this is the idea. It's actually, it's a long, complicated thing, but it's to do with the way the Earth's axis moves against the pole stars. That's what creates it to start with. But so you could say we're in the great month of Aquarius, or at the dawning of it, as the song goes.
Oh yes, the song.
So the age of Aquarius.
Did you want to sing that while we,
No, I was hoping you were going to.
This is the dawning.
Oh, my
You have to
goodness.
sing it with me.
Oh, I can't.
Okay.
What was that, Hair? I think in 1668 or 67
That was a great song. And you know what, back then I didn't have a clue what it meant. I liked it. I just didn't know what it meant at all.
Well, this is it. Everyone sort of will toss around the idea of the age of Aquarius, and they say, oh, it's new agey stuff, but it's perhaps a new age. It's Aquarius also rules astrology, so astrology steps up a notch as well, and also things that you do, spirituality things, mediumistic type things, not just agreeing with old deities that we perhaps were taught in the past.
Kind of.
And as you can see, as the ages change through, people's beliefs change. It does seem to align quite a bit with religion, but it's more about what people are actually believing in. So in the age of Cancer, they were believing in the mother goddess because they realised how the moon was working and how they could generate family and so on. After we had the age of Cancer, then came the age of Gemini.
Gemini's the twins. Yes.
Gemini's the twins, yes indeed. So this was 6,000 to 4,000 BC, give or take. And this was at the advent of writing. When writing came, suddenly humans learned how to write. They could leave messages for people. So if you left your village to go hunting, you could say, dragons be here,
Carrier
or what have
pigeons.
you. Maybe, and they could
Too
write.
early, right?
They could do writing in stone writing and so on. So communication has to do with Gemini, and all Geminis are good in communication. A lot of them work in the media, the newspapers, publishing. On radio and TV, it's Gemini all the way. And it was also a time when they took the wheel that had previously been invented and actually used it in a structure such as a wheelbarrow to transport goods so they could barter. And bartering is also ruled by Gemini. So this is the first time when you could trade in 2 chickens for a pig or whatever it was.
So the wheel was invented before it was used as a form of transportation.
Yes.
What was it? More just for
I suppose
a
it was symbology,
decoration?
yes.
Or?
With that was the Cancer period where the moon was there. I imagine it was just... I'm subject to correction on that, but I know that when the age of Gemini came along, that's when it was used for transportation, so that they could barter. And writing was evolved, and during the age of Gemini, people actually prayed to multiple gods. They had several different ones, and Gemini rules several different things. You can be doing 2 things at once, have 2 different beliefs. So it changed. What people believed in during that period actually changed. And and that was how Gemini was. And Gemini people themselves today are good at chatting, good at communication, they're always running errands, they're out here and there. Geminis have rollerblades in their closet,
So they're real go-getters.
That's right. But when we look today at astrology and we've got the sun going through our sign, we can say these are the characteristics of Gemini. But going back and looking at the ages of that 2,000-year period, you can also see that things that are affinited to Gemini occurred in Earth's history as well. So there's a couple more ages as well coming up,
Well, no, that's great. And I'm sure it's great for the people watching. They all have their own signs, so I'm sure they're all loving this. If you have a particular sign and you'd like a little more defining on that, give us a chat in, and I'm sure Alison will help you out.
As I say, I'm going back as far as the last ice age melt of the age of Leo. That was 10,000 BC.
Oh, you've been around for a long time.
I know. So,
no wonder you found it warm in here.
I know, I'm sorry about that, yes.
So why does each astrological sign or astrological year differ from the calendar year?
The astrological when we say that you're a Sagittarian, that's when the sun was actually moving through the sign of Sagittarius. But the actual astrology year starts at the vernal equinox, which was yesterday. That's why we thought we'd talk about this evening. And this is because even though it's moving slightly, that's the beginning of the zodiac year for 0 degrees Aries, which is what all the astrology in Western is based upon. So each month of the year generally has the 30 degrees, there's 360 degrees in a circle, and there's 365 days in a year. So it just about says 1 degree a year for the sun to move through and go around the zodiac.
Okay. Well, that clears that up.
Does it? It doesn't raise more questions.
How long is the complete cycle of the precision of the equinoxes?
That's the great year. That's 26,000 years.
26,000 years.
Unbelievable.
Oh, right.
Give or take
Wow.
a few days, I imagine. It's not exactly to the day, is it? Got to be.
Well, probably not, but still. How long does each great year last?
26,000 years, and there's each of these great months going through. So we've just come out of the age of Pisces from 0 BC to the year 2000, moving into the age of Aquarius. And there's not an exact day, as I say. We can say Pisces end, Aquarius begins, but a lot of people believe that with the actual invention of electricity, that was the beginning of the age of Aquarius, where electricity per se changed how humans lived on the earth.
Is that Thomas Edison days?
I
Or is that
think it was before
further back?
him. Yeah, I believe it was 17 something that some guy invented electricity.
History was not my
Well, anyway, of course, electricity came in, and suddenly you had people who had candles or gas lamps up until that point. Suddenly electricity's in, you can light your home, you can protect your family, you can cook your food, life gets better, health improves. And of course now, in our modern day, we've got computers and blog TV,
yes.
cell phones, and all of these things.
We love blog TV. I just wanted to say that, right? Say it.
Indeed.
We love blog TV. Okay.
So if you take it that electricity just changed everything from the way people lived 300 years ago to how we live today, we couldn't exist virtually, the modern human, at this point. So if that was the actual first inkling that there was a change coming from how people had lived before, and this is it, you know, we can now
So we're forever evolving.
Yeah, but this is why the age of Aquarius is so interesting. It's new, it's how we're living. We're living in skyscrapers. We could not have done that without electricity or done any of these things.
It's true, and it's scary to think if anything ever happened where we suddenly lost it all. I know that was the big concern, you know, when we did the show back in the summer. We did the show the end of the Mayan calendar, and it was all about, what was going to happen in 2012. And part of that was worrying about losing all the electronics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine your banking, your, like, just everything?
Exactly. You go back to bartering 2 chickens for a pig, couldn't you, with your wheelbarrow going
I
down?
don't have a pig. I don't even have chickens.
exactly.
I'd be totally screwed. Can I say that on Blog TV?
I'm not
don't
sure.
know. I can't. Tech guys. Yeah. Okay. So
all modern inventions are a creation because of the age of Aquarius. And also the fact that people are becoming more spiritual and more acceptance of connecting to people who've maybe passed over, or listening to messages coming straight in, or however you do it, I'm really not sure. And this is also how it's done. Whereas in the previous 2,000 years, it was very much strong religion, strong faith. You had to be part of that, and that was the belief of the world generally at the time. And now things are really changing. They're finding that people are not going to church as much as they used to. They're finding alternative ways to express their beliefs.
yes, well, definitely,
Yes.
definitely are. We talk about this every week. It's a really exciting time to be around.
Yes.
To see where it's going. Last week we had, was it last week? No, the week before we had Carolyn McDermott on doing the crystal skulls, and all about how they were holding on to valuable information.
Okay.
And that when the world is ready, and they find these 13 skulls, then we are going to basically know our destiny, know why we're here, have all those answers we've always had questions to. So how exciting would that be?
It's very interesting indeed.
So I'm just going to say, for those of you who are joining us tonight, you are with Christine in the Ask Your Angels talk show. And tonight my very special guest who's returning to us is Allison Price from Starzology. And if you haven't guessed it yet, we are talking about the age of Aquarius. So yesterday was the equinox.
Yes, indeed.
We were talking about that. How did the solar system look at the time of the equinox?
Yesterday.
What can you tell us?
Oh, what do you mean? What's going on up there at the moment?
What's going on?
Well, the sun just went into Aries. That is the beginning of the year, the astrological year. At the moment, we have the planet Mars is in the sign of Virgo, and it's actually going backwards. It's called retrogradation. So it's spending about 5 months in that sign. So the Virgoans amongst us are having to slow down a little bit and perhaps reassess what they're doing, and only when it goes direct, I believe it's April 14th, I'm not exactly sure, only then will that energy again be released, and the Virgo types can actually move forward with their lives and start picking up steam again and move forward. This particular phenomenon only occurs every 2 years, not always in Virgo. Last time it was in Leo. So each sign in turn every 2 years will get an opportunity to benefit from Mars being retrograde, which is not always seen as a good thing if it's happening to you, but if it's not happening to you, then it's okay.
So who's benefiting right now then? Aquarius?
Well, no, those if you're in earth or water signs, Virgo and Pisces are not going to be particularly outgoing at the moment. It's retrograde means that things are held back. You have to go back and redo things. We also have Mercury retrograde at the same time, and that happens 3 times a year. And what happens then is, this is generally coming to the public knowledge now, that this is the time before it happens. You have to back up your hard drives, get all your computers sorted out, get your car fixed, because during that retrograde period things can start going wrong. You lose information, messages don't get through, you send an email, they don't get it, you make an appointment, they have to cancel it. So you really don't want to be making any of those communication type things during the Mercury retrograde period, and I'm sure you've heard of that.
I've heard of that based on the solar flares that are happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same? I mean, that's totally different.
Totally different, yeah.
Are they linked in any way though?
No, not really. The Mercury retrograde happens 3 times a year for about 3 weeks at a time, in a different sign. And really it just depends how it affects your particular chart, or if it's crossing over your sun or so on. But for general information, you don't want to be doing any communication, buying things like telephones, computers.
Anything electronic.
You don't want to buy a car during a Mercury retrograde period, because
when did that start again?
I haven't, a couple of weeks ago, I haven't got my fingertips will go at 3 weeks, because if you buy a car during a retrograde Mercury period, you'll end up taking it back when it goes direct, because something will go wrong or whatever it is, and you have to keep returning. Retrograde indicates that we use the RE words, which are return, revoke, repent, revise. Now, of course, there are good things. If you're, say, for instance, a writer, and you're doing a long-winded manuscript and you need time for revision, then you would want to do it during a Mercury retrograde period, when you can go back over what has previously been done and fix things. But it's not a time to start something totally new.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's a lot of pregnant women out there getting a little nervous right about now.
Oh, do you think so? I don't know about that.
But you mean from an electronic standpoint, or not just overall?
Anything in particular? You don't.
What about a new baby? How would that be if you were pregnant?
Well, what can I don't know what to tell you. People are born every day, whether Mercury is retrograde or not. It just means then that they will have a birth chart with Mercury retrograde, and we would want to hope that it would have gone direct before they get to school, which is another of my topics where you deal with children's astrology.
I think my child must have come during a Mercury retrograde.
Well, you'd only know that if you did their charts, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just
Let's talk about that.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Okay, I know there was something else I wanted to ask you based on all of that. Oh yes, Mercury retrograde is where Mercury's, isn't it appear to be moving
It's
backwards?
apparently moving backwards, yes.
But it appears that way, but I've been told that it's not actually moving
It's not
backwards,
actually
but it
moving
appears
backwards.
to be.
Exactly.
Why is that?
An analogy I can give you is if you're on a train and you're going along at, I don't know, whatever speed it is, and there's a train next to you, and they're going like this, and suddenly the train next to you looks like it's going backwards.
Oh, I've seen that before.
But, of course, you're still both going forward, but you're going forward at a faster rate than this train. It's apparently going backwards, and that's what it is. It's actually an optical illusion that Mercury and all the other planets are retrograding.
That's a great example, because I think that's happened to all of us.
Indeed, and that does tend to explain in a light-hearted, perhaps, way how Mercury retrogrades work. Of course, it is quite complex, but that's how you get the impression that train's going backwards.
Did the Egyptians observe the equinox?
I believe so, yes, indeed. When they built the pyramids, which was during the age of Taurus, and my clue there is, what did I say? It was 4000 to 2000 BC. That great pyramid of, is it Cheops in Giza? And they've got those long
Giza?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Giza.
I think we need to do a show on pyramids. We actually really should do a show on pyramids.
Giza. G-I-Z-A. Giza.
Geezer. I've never heard that.
Have you not?
No, is that where the term old geezer comes from?
No, it's spelled differently. Giza is a town in Egypt where the pyramids are built.
Okay.
Giza, not geezer.
Oh, I thought she said geezer. She's right here. Did you say Giza?
No, I said Giza.
There, see?
Anyhow, so where the pyramids are built, and there's those awfully long, tall, thin tunnels inside the pyramids, and they've recently sent up those little robotic thingies to go up these tunnels. And when they were first built, they were lined up against the pole star at the time. And because of precession of the equinoxes, and because it was so long ago, it's actually moved now. And this is to do with why the ages are changing as well. But when the pyramids were built, they were totally lined up on the pole star. So yes, they definitely did follow that, and they knew about it as well, yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. I'm sorry about the whole pyramid thing.
Now, going back to that time, that was the age of Taurus, when they worshipped the bull. That was the ancient Egyptians beforehand. And this is when farming came in, when they actually realised that you could harvest seed and keep it over and plant out your crops again. Whereas Gemini just had settlements. During the age of Taurus, they actually got into farming. They could work on agriculture. They realised how plants were working. They also discovered copper.
Okay.
Who knew how they did that? But anyhow, they discovered copper, and that was used. And then the symbol for copper is the Venus sign, which is the circle with a square below it, also known as the Egyptian ankh. You've probably seen it on jewellery and Egyptian tombs and so on. And they call it the ankh, the A-N-K-H. And it's in certain names, like Tutankhamun has got this in his name.
Oh, he does.
Akhenaten, these Greek gods, Egyptian gods at the time. And that
So
was
clearly they were very into astrology
well.
in Egyptian times.
I think even though they didn't realise it was the age of Taurus, perhaps the Taurus influence permeated the whole of the civilized world on the planet at that time, and that's what the thing is.
So it's very significant. Astrology is very significant
Absolutely.
in our history.
Everybody should know astrology. They should teach it in schools.
I would have liked that.
Yes, yes,
I loved
exactly.
astronomy. I know I would have loved astrology. And who knows, maybe, you know, my hope is that we will have New Age schools, you know,
Yes.
for things like that.
Yes, well, it's very different in some of the cultures now. Even like apparently in India, the astrology there is far more mainstream than it is here. No one will get married until they've consulted their astrologers. It's a matter of course. And in time to come, that will be the same in the West, that people will not get married until they've consulted an astrologer.
I think people are doing that now, for sure.
I know in my own practice they are, and you only have a few good days in any one year to get married on, and really if you're not hitting the good days, why not?
You know what I'm going to ask now?
What?
So if I went back to a particular year, would you be able to tell me if it was a good idea getting married?
Oh no, well if I knew what, when you did get married, we could do a chart for that, and it would tell us how the marriage has developed. But what I'm saying is that people who are getting married, say in the summer of 2012 or 2013, a lot of people do consult astrologers to pick the best days, because you do want a good day to get married.
Of course. So if you're thinking of getting married, you want to contact Alison, and Alison can be found at starzology.com. Yes?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So, Alison, how is the planet Uranus associated with the age of Aquarius?
When Uranus was discovered, I believe it was 1781, and that was William Herschel, and originally it was the astronomers who discovered it, but straight away the astrologers got on board, back calculated the positions, and they were able to, over time, realize the affinities that Uranus did have. And at that time Aquarius was ruled by the planet Saturn. Now Saturn also rules Capricorn, so they were able to put Uranus in as co-ruler onto Aquarius, due to how they saw that the astrology was developing after they'd researched all these charts of people. You must realize that they're still discovering planets today. There's the planets further out than Pluto, of Eris, Sedna and Make and Humaka, however you say that. They are still coming into our consciousness, because they were only discovered like in 2006. And astrologers out there today are working on and trying to research into these planets, these new planets, to discover where they fit into astrology. So it's a modern, it's a growth, I think. It's natural, it's human nature to want to find a place for it.
Now this is going to show how well I know astronomy. As much as I love astronomy, but it's been years since I practiced it. Are these new planets part of our solar system? So they are?
Yes.
So they've been hidden basically all this time?
The only reason we couldn't see them was our telescopes just weren't good enough.
And now they are.
Yes.
So this is something that once they research, most likely the children will be taught in school, that this is the solar system. It'll change. Would you not think?
Well, they're part of the solar system in as much as they rotate around the sun, but you know, Pluto was demoted in 2005 to a dwarf planet.
Demoted?
Demoted.
Pluto? I love Pluto. It's such a cute...
demoted. Yes, there's an old joke that when I was a kid, Pluto was a planet, because we're that old, right? But the young kids are now learning that there's only 8 planets in the solar system, and it stops at Neptune because Pluto's too small.
I thought the only jokes they made was about Uranus.
Well,
I
don't know if I've heard those ones. Says Christine, perhaps you'd like to share a few.
No,
exactly.
No, good. So I think we covered this, but for people that are joining the show, what age comes after the age of Aquarius?
After the age of Aquarius, in the year, give or take, will be 4000 AD, is the age of Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Yes, the age of Capricorn.
My mom's the Capricorn. So
Indeed.
what does that mean exactly? What's going to happen in the age of Capricorn?
That's different to what we're struggling with in the age of Aquarius. Well, Capricorn's entirely different to Aquarius. It's a feminine sign. The symbol is the sea goat. It's not actually a mountain goat. It's a goat. It's got a front head of a goat and then a tail like a mermaid. So this is the symbol for Capricorn. It's a sign of people who want to achieve. There's formalities. There's structure. They like rules and regulations.
That sounds about right.
So, who knows, after the Aquarian age of total freedom that is being demanded by people now, freedom that we're having recently, you know, the slavery has been abolished in the age of Aquarius. People are free to do what they like. They are going to be able to marry whom they want to, and it's all changing. And one would assume that in 4000 AD we would then bring further restrictions in. Maybe it's going to be about...
That doesn't sound good.
Well, maybe by this stage the planet is totally populated. I don't know. And maybe there's got to be, like, was it Logan's Run or something? You can only have one kid or something.
Oh.
And there may be controls and structures brought in. I'm not sure. I mean, who can tell?
Now that doesn't sound very positive to me.
So let's find a positive spin on this. That it's just going to be great and everyone will own their own business.
Logan's Run, you also didn't live very long. I think it was 35.
Yeah,
or maybe
Yeah,
30.
that's
die.
why I know Logan's Run. That's why I was going, well, that can't be good.
Limits.
I'm
And
going to drink this wine that you keep kicking.
before I kick it over, totally. Well, cheers.
I'm on holiday.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Allison, who divided the 360-degree span between the 12 zodiacs?
You mean what was his name and when? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who did that, but it goes back
Or
to.
what was the purpose of it? Like, why was it decided that it would be divided into 12?
Because the sun in its path goes through the 12 constellations. So at that stage we had Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and these are constellations around the celestial sphere, and the sun moves through them, and they joined the dots and said, oh, that looks like a ram. Oh, that looks like a bull.
Oh, okay.
I think it was really initially to do with the moon as well. At 29 days it goes round. Although the moon does have 13 months in a year, not 12. But anyway.
Well, we also have a 13th star sign.
Do we?
Well, we covered that before. They did say they had discovered a 13th.
They did. Okay, let's just go over that, right?
I know I'm taking
I
you
know,
off
I
topic,
know.
but I think for people that maybe missed July's show, that's something to look at.
Okay. The signs of the zodiac are the signs which the sun passes through. So even though we have constellations, say you've got Orion's up here and the Great Bear's there, the sun is not passing through that. The sun is going through the zodiac signs,
Okay.
and that's why we count those.
So that 13th one, I can't. What's it called again?
Ophiuchus. Well, that was the latest one. When I was younger, it was the Arachne, was the spider constellation in the
Ooh.
70s. That was
I
the
don't think
new
I would have
thing.
liked that one.
Yeah. Really, it's to do with when you look at the night sky and you see the stars and you draw the dots, what do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Is it an elephant or is it a lion? Is it a lion and a bull? Or is it two elephants? I don't know. And if you want to bring in the serpent and say, oh, there's a serpent, then so be it, yeah. The debate will rage on. There's no halting that debate, but the signs of the zodiac and the constellations are different things. They were aligned at 0 BC and now it's shifted. This is what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
But anyway, but yes, I know there was a lot of talk about that at the time.
Well, let's go back to the 60s.
Yes,
The
let's
age
go
of
back.
Aquarius in the 60s, would you say that was a time of peace and love?
I think it was a time they wanted it to be peace and love. That was the time of the Pluto-Uranus conjunction in Virgo, and things changed after the 50s. We went to the 60s, didn't we? And then the 70s, it was the flower of children
The
as
flower
well.
of children, I
And
remember that.
There was pushback against the government at the time. This is the period when the pill was invented and freedom came in once more for women, or for the first time even for women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things changed, the sexual revolution moved forward, and that was at a time with the Uranus-Pluto conjunction in Virgo, and we now are 40 years on and we've got the square pattern occurring at the moment, causing tension again. So
Can you tell us a little more about that?
um,
Because I'm not familiar with the square pattern.
you're very good. Pluto is in Capricorn at the moment and it's actually making a square. It's a 90-degree angle around. Here's our circle. This one's here. It's a 90-degree angle to Uranus in Aries. So Uranus was actually close by when the equinox happened yesterday. So it's also good for astrologers. This year will be a good year for astrologers. But this tension, is it good? This tension against the two planets causing the square. I believe there's going to be 5 or 7 conjunctions over the next couple of years, and people who are Capricorns or people who are Aries are going to feel the tension more, and also those who are cardinal signs born in that first 7 to 10 degrees will feel more tension and stress in their life than the rest of us.
Who are Sagittarians safe?
I think so.
Yay.
But Capricorns and Aries will have tension.
Okay. We have a question.
We do? My goodness.
Okay, so somebody by the name of Medium Ruth asks, can I ask what she sees for me? I am a Cancer.
Maybe now's a good time to explain how it all works when you do your astrology charts.
Well,
How much is involved.
How much is involved? Yes, indeed.
Or is there something in general maybe?
Off the top of my head, at the present moment, I'm just trying to think. I don't have a chart in front of me. I don't think there's any of the major planets are in Cancer. What we do have is we've got the Pluto is in opposition to at 7 degrees opposing. It's in Capricorn opposing Cancer. If you were born at the first week of the Cancer period, that will cause difficulties and perhaps things will be held back. But in the end, after there may have been a period where you have to get rid of things, whatever they are, whether they're families, husbands or kids or stuff, you will find that as it moves away that the relief, it was worth the effort. And that's just off the top of my head.
Did you just tell them to get rid of their families?
No, I didn't. I said that some
to
things...
relieve stress?
Yeah, that there is baggage being held and it needs to be removed, and you probably know what it is but just don't want to face it.
Okay, well it's good.
So, off the top of my head.
I thought that was brilliant because
Okay.
I know how much you put into your charts.
Well, that was just the one thing I was thinking of, was the Pluto's in Capricorn. It's bound to be causing this opposition to Cancerians.
Okay, I'm going to add something too. For people that maybe don't know this, like for me, I always thought astrology was you could just, tell me my sign, tell me my fortune, da 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 da.
I can do that. I can tell you your fortune.
But Allison actually did a chart for me, and I know it took hours and hours of prep time. I was so blown away. I mean, it was bang on, and it was very insightful. She's very passionate. I highly, highly recommend her. If you really want to see where your life's going, what's going on, then please contact Allison, and you will be amazed. www.starzology.com. And we're talking about the age of Aquarius. What else would you like to share with us? Because I'd mentioned I'm on vacation, so I'm going to have a glass of wine and just let you
well,
take
I'll just
over.
carry on with my water. Perhaps we'd just like to discuss about then the age of Aries, which was the 2000 BC to 0 BC, or would you say 0 AD? I'm not sure if did it go 1-1, I'll have to think about that. But anyway, the 2000 years before Christ was born was the age of Aries. This is when the vernal equinox was passing through that constellation. And this was a period when Ramesses, the sun god, rose in Egypt, because Egypt had a very, very long period. It's the early beginnings of Greece and even Rome as well. And they prayed to their sun god Aten, A-T-E-N, the Egyptians at the time. And that is the Aryan, it was the ram, the symbol that they used then. Also during that time when Rome started to gain its strength, the rise of the Roman Empire, they discovered iron. So what this meant was that they could actually make better weapons than they'd ever had before. Aries is the sign that rules war as well, so they were able to go out, and gladiators and so on, they could build body armour with all this equipment they had, the Romans. And really the Romans, when they invaded other countries, people had never seen anything like it, the way they moved in with all this knowledge that they gained during the age of Aries. So they were
It was a very violent time, wasn't it?
Well, I believe so. But even today, Aries rules weaponry, bayonets, knives, anything you cut things with, armour, tanks, what have you, whatever's going on in the world today. Is also wars that are being fought are ruled by Aries as well. So, but it was a time when, because of the development of iron, which is now ruled by Mars, which is the planetary ruler of Aries, the fact that they could even work this metal changed civilization again. So they were then happy to go out there and take over the world, and that's really what they did for their period. They had their moment, right? They had their moment in history, coming up to 0.
I'm just
You're
thinking. Well, I am. I had. Oh, okay. Saved by the Bell. Question.
What does she feel is going to happen this year? What is the whole flow of what's going to happen.
Okay, just in a nutshell.
It could be someone who's come on later because we kind of talked about that.
Planetary changes, the big one this year is going to be that Saturn at the moment is in Libra and it will be moving into Scorpio. That'll be in October. Things are definitely going to change in October. At the moment Saturn's well placed in Libra, it's in exaltation. Saturn is a planet that rules, controls governments and people who tell you what to do in your life. So at the moment it's all being held in during the Saturn period in Libra, but when it moves into Scorpio in October, things are going to change. There is going to start to be restrictions on things like water management, where you know, water filtration and this business that a lot of people don't have water. It may not affect everyone in Canada, however in the rest of the world it is a problem. Things that bottled water, for instance, and containers in which they came will probably be removed as well. There will be legislation brought in during that period to control the resources of the earth, because Scorpio rules the resources. It's also to do with water and anything underground and buried. So I imagine, I was going somewhere else with that thought, but anyway, mining, not just mining, but oil rigs and so on out there in the deep sea, they're going to come under pressure and further legislation at that time in case they are actually polluting, which it will be tightened up, I would imagine, on a global scale. And this probably will actually impact on the American election. Not that I want to get into politics, but it's coming at the right time to tighten up things there. If you're in the stock market, I would say that, excuse me, the price of oil will go up. How's that?
Oh, and that means our gas prices, right?
I don't know.
Usually.
Oh, thank you. I'm off camera. Not quite. Hold shows.
Yeah.
Beautiful grape juice, thank you.
Yes, it's lovely.
Isn't he a
Okay, it's
gentleman?
very nice. He is. That's our tech guy.
That's right, that's the tech guy.
Don't you just want to hit him sometimes?
No,
Anyway.
not at all. I think he does a great job. And
Yay for tech
and it
guy!
couldn't be done without him, and he does remember that, yeah. The only other year that we didn't speak about was the Age of Pisces.
That's right. We didn't. Let's do that.
Would you like me to just
What can you
run-
tell us about
Well,
the Age of
well,
Pisces?
By now, you should see where I'm going with
I
this.
kind of do.
You kind of do. The Age of Pisces began at 0 AD, really when Christianity began, to the year 2000, give or take 600 years. And this was a time when people started being gentle, forgiveness came in, whereas before, remember, with the Romans in the Age of Aries,
Yes.
you just got killed and that was it. Now, during this period, people are starting to turn the other cheek.
Now, Pisces has to do with water.
Yes, indeed.
Is this around the time when they started anointing everybody and things
Well, that's
like
when they-
that, and
I
baptisms? And
suppose so.
is that possible?
I
That's
suppose
kind of where I
so.
thought you were going.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
People could be cleansed of their sins during this period, whereas previously they couldn't. They just had to die in the bed they'd made for themselves. So yeah, it was a time of where spirituality came up, religion came up, mainstream, and it really did take over the world. There are sort of, I think, 4 main religions now, and they are strong, and they have been for the last 2,000 years, but things are now going to change as we move into the Age of Aquarius. So whether we can take that in our stride or not, I'm not sure. I think change is actually disturbing for a lot of people.
She's looking at me.
And
I admit it. I do not. I think change for the positive is a great thing, and I get very excited about it. Like coming into this spiritual age where people seem to be more. I'm meeting people through the show like every day, more loving, caring. You know, they genuinely are living to help others, and it's such a wonderful thing to see. And I was going somewhere with this. But change, I'd be the type who, you know, I just learnt this computer system and, oh, we're going to try this one now. And I don't do so well with that.
exactly.
There's things I rely on if I go to the same vacation place since I was a kid. I don't
It's
want to
human
get there
nature.
and see that it's changed.
Exactly.
I want everything to be the same. So
So how
I
do
admit change is good,
Mhm.
and there should be change, but I do have issues with transitions.
Exactly. Well, how do you think people felt when they did discover electricity and suddenly you got the option of electrifying your home? And people were saying, "Oh, but I've used a wood-burning stove to cook my bread. Why should I bring this newfangled thing in? And it might, what?"
I would be that person, probably.
Yeah. And then when they invented microwave ovens, I don't know if you...
Oh no, I jumped right on board with that one.
And, and there was a lot of controversy then about, oh yes, but the microwaves can come through the door and fry your brain. And it was the same when they invented cell phones too.
They
There was
still say microwaves are very bad for you.
Well,
There's something.
and yet every home has one.
I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? And change
But then more
came
people
in.
are getting sick. More people are getting cancer than they ever did, and they're saying.
I
mean,
know.
don't get me wrong. I use a microwave every day. We live in a very fast-paced life where it's go go go.
Yes.
I honestly don't know what I'd do without the microwave.
But your grandmother never had one. That's what I'm trying to say. Change moves in.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't always take it. It usually takes, they say, a generation to accept changes. Now, our kids are quite up to date with cell phones, and I don't know what they teach them at school, and. But when I hate to say that when I was at school, we had to learn to use a slide rule. Now, people who are not old enough don't even know what that is. Yes, indeed.
Oh,
And
should I admit that I know what that is, or should I just say what?
What? Exactly.
We have a question.
Got a couple of questions that come in. One from a Jessica. A question about work next year. It's uncertain right now, and I'm afraid it might get worse. In terms of what can you say about that?
Jessica, are you asking if you're going to find work next year? Are you out of work? Is that what you're looking for?
Does she say when her birthday is? Otherwise, we're yeah.
No, I have work.
Okay.
Oh, so population-wise, the unemployment, we need a little more specific for the question, yes?
I think so. Yes.
I mean, there's a lack of work. There's that lack of work. Maybe that's what it is. Are you inquiring if it's going to get better in that sense, or can we get a little more clarification?
It seems it's getting worse for me than population.
I am a bit at a loss with that, because
I'm still not getting a clear
yes.
idea of what the question is.
Yeah. And she says again, my work just seems uncertain for my future.
Oh, unstable that way? The only thing I would say is, and I know it's hard to do, but and I've been there, believe me, I have. If you just drop the worry part of it and just take one day at a time, if that job doesn't work out, I guarantee you it's for a good reason. You will look back and go, I'm glad that job didn't work out, because if it didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I am today. Just to give you an idea, I lost my job in April, and normally I would be, freaking out about it, worried, am I going to work? And that's when I decided to start doing the blog TV show. So here I am, and everything else kind of fell into place. I found a job that worked around it, and I didn't even have to try. So I hope that helps. Like, just know that in the grand scheme of things, everything's going to be fine as long as you trust. It's all about trust.
That's right. And I think when I first met you, you had a few bookings weeks ahead, didn't you? And yet now you're booked up, till the end of the year with your guests?
End of the year?
And
no,
June. Well, whatever it is, look how you've grown. Look how your whole setup here is developed into something. It's Age of Aquarian type stuff moving forward. You've got all your equipment. You've even got tech guy and technicians are real by Aquarius anyway. But it has grown.
And honestly, I didn't work at it. I just let things come. Someone told me, you know what? We don't see the big picture, and there's someone up there who's guiding us and sending us down the right path. And what we do is, it's fear that holds us back. It's the worry and the fear. If we just let go and go, okay, I know I'm in good hands, everything's going to work out. Honest to goodness, it does, because people have just come to me for the show. It's been incredibly easy, and I love the guests. They're wonderful people. We have another question.
Okay, somebody else has asked, Ruth, why do they feel the spirits are coming to us more now as opposed to in the last 3 years?
I can take that one.
Please do.
Unless that's from an astrological view, but they say, at least the people in the spiritual community, we believe we're coming into the age of age of Aquarius, reaching a higher frequency as we reach. So imagine that so far you've been on the third dimension. There's another plane, let's say a closer step to heaven, and we are reaching a higher frequency where we start seeing the world in the fifth dimension. And as we do so, the veil between here and the afterlife is thinning. So we're hearing heaven, we're hearing messages even clearer. And the fact that we're opening up to it more, we're becoming more aware that there's more to this than we've known growing up. And that's why you start hearing the voices more. It's stronger for me, and people that never heard the voices before are hearing them now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, that's exactly it. It's like there's a freedom, and we're actually even going to allow ourselves to listen.
And be empowered. And know that we have special gifts. We all do.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I've been psychic since I was 7, but I kind of had an awareness at that age, and I embraced it, and no one ever really told me not to. We all have that gift. We just have to kind of be very, very open to it and listen, watch for signs. If for nothing else, go with your conscience. Go with that little voice that tells you, don't do that. Believe in it. Just follow your instincts. You can't go wrong.
I think the thing is too that you've really got to know what it is you want in life.
Yes.
And if you focus in on trying to achieve it, and you have a goal, and it's not just random, oh, I wish my life was better. You've got to say, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for satisfaction in these areas, and then you can move forward, and then serendipity can come into play, where things will come to you that actually meet your goals as well. But if you're just randomly saying, oh, I wish life was better, you've got no focus. You've got to get some kind of focus, and you know in your heart of hearts what you really want out of life.
And be specific.
Yes.
Too. Like, even go further than saying, I hope for this, say, I'm going to have
Yes.
this, I'm going to be doing this. And just put it out there, and whether you believe that yourself, that you are the one enabling yourself to do this, or something higher, like I do believe in guardian angels, and I think it's like anything else. If you tell your husband to go to the grocery store and you say, you know, pick up that can of that red stuff, the tomato, you know, the tomato stuff, or you send him to the grocery store and say, okay, I want the Hunt's tomato paste, it's in the 40 ml can, you're very, very specific, I guarantee you I'm lying, he's going to forget and not bring it anyway. But no. In real life, just be specific about what you want, and it's going to come back to you. And Tech Guy's rolling his eyes at me.
Well, I was just wondering what brilliant husband you have who can do that sort of thing. I'm impressed.
Oh, okay. So
I want to share with you my necklace.
I was going to say, that's beautiful. Did you make that?
I did.
You didn't.
I did.
That's beautiful.
I know it's just one of those little things. This is my solar system necklace.
Wow.
Where we got the moon here. I don't know, we don't want to show too much cleavage on the show. But we've got the sun and the planets Mercury, Venus, the Earth and the moon.
Oh my gosh,
Can
she's
you
got a
see?
little moon off to the side. Show. Here, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's just
pull it up a bit. Anyway, never
Of
mind.
course, all the guys out there are going, no, lower.
No.
I've been looking at that all night.
I want to tell you,
beautiful.
it's incredibly heavy to wear, but it was just one
Well,
of
you
those.
got the whole solar system around your neck.
know.
That's got to
and
be
not
heavy.
even the newfangled planets are built in, so there's room for some asteroids hanging off on another layer, I think, next time.
Are you making these for other people?
Well, not yet. I've only just made this first one, but
if you like it, contact Alison at www.starzology.com.
Well, you're very kind.
No, it's beautiful. It really is.
It was just one of those things that I just got so crazy. I thought, well, I must bring it this evening and show you my little what I'm up to.
It's stunning. I never honestly wouldn't have guessed that you made it.
Well,
it looks that good. It's beautiful. Not to
Age
say
of
that I don't
Aquarius.
think you're capable and extremely talented.
Oh, you're very complimentary. I should have brought you one, yes.
But, yeah,
Anyway.
well, yeah. What about that?
Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Yes.
So, do we have any other questions? No? Okay.
Other things that are coming up in the age of Aquarius is going to be tolerance for other people too. Tolerance is going to be a big thing. We're going to accept other people who are different to us. Diversity is becoming more than it ever was, even when you and I were younger. We live in a cultural diversity, you know.
I was thinking that the other day too.
That's Aquarius, and ultimately one would assume that there would become a global religion. Even if it's not called religion, it will be a global understanding for people for the next generation in the next 2,000 years. Totally different beliefs will come in to what we've previously had during the Pisces age. So tolerance is a big thing, and of course freedom. You know.
You know what I know
Human
it's silly,
rights.
but when we like I said, we just came back from vacation, and we went out for dinner last night, and I was looking out the window, and this couple was walking by, and I mean, we see this all the time now, but Asian girl, Caucasian man holding hands, and I just went back to childhood and thought, people didn't accept that as far back as when I was a child. Now I'm showing my age, but isn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
But isn't it wonderful that we've evolved to the point where people understand that we are all the same? That it doesn't matter.
It's the brotherhood of man. These are principles of Aquarius, and if you closely know Aquarian type people, they believe in these things, and they're born believing them, and that's really the difference that perhaps even the edge they have over everyone else during this period, I would say. Yeah. It's interesting how it all it comes in with the age. The long 2,000-year age also covers the month we have when you're born and you're an Aquarian. If you're living in the Aquarian age, then the principles are the same.
Do we remember when I was born? Let's not talk about the year.
No, we didn't have electricity then.
Oh, we did too. We did too. We had
I'm
electricity.
joking.
I didn't have a microwave, but I had electricity.
Exactly. Things change all the time. But we're taking it in our stride now, and one wonders what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
You know, these kind of changes coming in all the time. Because change is a principle of Aquarius as well, and Uranus is the planet of change, and it forces change upon you. If you've got a transit through your chart, or Uranus comes across your sun, you're going to change, things are going to change in your life. You'll make a break from how it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have another question.
We have Jessica asking a question. How do you know how many guardian angels you have?
Well, to be absolutely honest, at this particular time, I don't know. But I do know when I do readings for people, I work with Archangel Michael. I work with... It's funny, I've always kind of felt Archangel Michael around. And to be honest, this was at a time when I didn't know a lot about him, but he kept coming to me. And then lately, I'm seeing a lot of people that need healing, and Archangel Raphael's kind of coming in going, hey, what about me? And there's another angel I have coming through. She's female, and she's kind of like, well, don't forget about me, but I haven't quite figured out who she is yet. But there was a time when I first started doing the readings professionally that a friend of mine studied with someone in Calgary who was very renowned.
Mm-hmm.
She came back, did some exercises with me, and said, you have 7 guardian angels with you. And it kind of resonated because I've always, number 7's been lucky for me. I think I mentioned on another show, I drank tea once, and it wasn't tea, like loose tea, it was in a Pico bag, like it was tea. But I still had a solid 7 in tea leaves at the bottom.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think I have 7. I have different people coming through. In my case, I have a lot of people who crossed over coming through to me for other people. So I'm kind of a conduit per se.
So do you think over time you maybe will have 5 angels at this period and then 9 at another time?
Oh, absolutely. The way it works, like you definitely, I believe you have one guardian angel who's been assigned to you from the time you were born.
At all times?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This person goes through your life with you. And then I always say it's kind of like when you go see a doctor. You have your family doctor. You go see them, once in a while. You talk to them when you need help.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you go through crisis or something and they send in the specialist, and this is when you're going to get the archangels that are specific in a certain field, like Archangel Michael. If you have ties, let's say you have a broken relationship and you want the pain to go away, you need to heal, you would call upon Archangel Michael to, he has a sword, will slice away those cords between you and the other person. Archangel Raphael will come in and heal. But we also get loved ones that also watch over us and will come in from time to time when we need them. So at any given time, you can have, there's no limit really.
But there's always one.
I believe definitely there's always one, for sure.
It's interesting.
Next question that she asked after that is how do you communicate with the angels?
Well, different people do it different ways. For myself, I always have heard the voice in my head, which was kind of hard to talk about as a kid. Hey, I hear voices in my head. But no, they talk to me. I actually have conversations back and forth in my head with them. And, it's what they say. It's things that I would never think to say, and it just comes to me. You just know.
Yeah.
So if you want to be in touch with your guardian angels, meditation is a great way to get started. Clearing, go online. There's things online to show you how to clear yourself. And then you'll have results from that.
What are you clearing yourself from?
Well, it's clearing the negative energy and toxins.
Okay.
Like for me, what started out with me is it's kind of like I always rub my third eye. This is what I do before I do a reading. I say, Archangel Michael, please protect me during the reading. Please protect the person I'm reading for. Bring us the messages they need to know. And I will rub my third eye, and then I gradually go down my body like this as I'm pushing all the negative energy away.
Oh.
And then out through the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shivering right now. That's how I know. You will feel shimmers. You will feel like shivers if your angel is with you. That's their way of telling you it's love, and it's the energy that they give you, and that's how you'll know that they're around. You want to try it?
Well, not at the moment,
Okay.
thank you. Many years ago, I went to a psychic reader when we lived in Africa, and she said to me as I walked into her consulting room, she said to me, your aura's dragging out of the back door. It's way behind you. And she said, go home and take a bath, put salt in the water and soak away and spruce up your aura. I still remember that. And she said it was dragging behind me. I thought, gosh, someone's going to stand on it and hold me back. But she said, no, spruce it up and put salt in the water. Just straightforward salt.
Salt is
and
good.
soak it through. And is that another way of cleansing? Is that what you're saying?
Sea salt.
Sea salt.
Sea salt in your bath, for sure.
Or swim in the sea even, would you say? Or not?
Well,
even?
yes, very cleansing. Sea salt. I've also been taught that when you are trying to reach your angels or do a reading for someone or be more open, you cleanse yourself in sea salt, so it's very accurate, and wear white. If you can be completely white, light some white candles. This is for someone who isn't used to having messages. Like for me, they just come all the time now.
Okay.
It's practice. That's all it is. The more you do it, the more open you are. It's like if I were sitting here talking to Allison and saying, so Allison, how are you today? And Allison just ignores me, and I'm like, Allison, how are you today? And still nothing. Pretty soon I'm just going to say, okay, well, she doesn't want to hear from me, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When they know you're listening, the more you're listening, the more when something good happens, say thank you. Thank you for that. Always show them appreciation. Tell them, be very specific what you want. And then when it happens, thank them. So they know that you're in communication with them, more things will come.
And do they wake you up at night even if you've got a
No,
strong
thank goodness.
message? Okay.
They come to me in dreams, though.
Oh, okay.
Yes, which was kind of going back when you were talking about, which age was it? The age with the Vikings and the Romans and the fighting.
The Age of Aries. Yes.
The Age of Aries. I was about to tell you, Chris Ann Mulreed, remember she was on the show for the Akashic Record reading, and she offered our viewers to contact her if you wanted to be part of this group where she was teaching our Akashic Record reading. So a few of us did get involved with that, and we did do the Akashic Record reading. And I immediately had 3 flashbacks to 3 different lives. And one was so brief, but I can tell you, it sounded, when you were saying the Roman times and the fighting and the armor and the
gladiators.
I was a man and I was a gladiator and
what
I had a sword. Brad Pitt?
No, not him. The guy who played Gladiator. I can't remember his name. The Australian
Russell Crowe.
That's it.
But it was like that. But there was fire everywhere behind me, and I had a knife, and it was horrible. It was just so. And all I kept thinking was, how could people survive that era? How could they?
Exactly.
Like, how horrible would that have been? Even as a man, I don't think I'd want to be that.
Well, that would have been the Age of Aries, and then it turned into the Age of Pisces, where forgiveness came in, and forgiveness was the watchword, and things changed, you know?
Yeah.
But it's interesting now that you go back there. Do you always go back to the same period, would you say?
No, that's the first time that's ever happened. Myself, you mean?
Yes.
This was just through the exercise Chris Ann did with us.
Oh.
I kind of had an epiphany during that. I saw a flashback of that. I can talk about it now. It was very difficult the night of. I saw a little girl sitting in a garden. She was about 3 or 4 having a picnic. And then it flashed to a woman in labor, and there was a midwife there, and I was on a cot, and I was screaming, and there was a man holding my hand. I knew was my husband. I didn't see his face at the time, and I knew it was significant. And Chris Ann brought us back, and then she basically said, okay, now I'm going to take you back to the Akashic Records. I want you to think of what you're going to ask. Well, my first thing in my head was, I want to know, I knew I was that woman. I knew I was the woman on the cot. What was that about? And when I went back, before we even went back, it came back, it was the daughter. You never had her. You lost her at childbirth. And see, my whole life since I was a little girl, I had this vision of this little girl, dark curly hair, about 3 or 4, loved her to death, and always had dreams about her and saw her throughout my childhood, growing up. And I was convinced I was going to have a girl. Okay. Well, I ended up having 2 boys. I'm like, where's my daughter? Like, where is she? And then I started thinking, okay, well, this had to have been a past life experience. But what this told me was, no, you never had this little girl. And I sat there while we were on a conference call and started crying because I realized I'd had a miscarriage. I may even have died at that moment. It was a really bad pregnancy delivery, and all I kept thinking was, I lost this child. I was devastated. So I told her I was grieving. That's what it felt like. So it's something where you can go back in your past life, and there's something that you need to know to heal yourself in this life. It had to have been something I was carrying around for quite a long time. So anyway, okay. I don't want to bore you anymore. So back to the Age of Aquarius with Alison Price.
Right.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add tonight?
Well, perhaps, I don't know how we're doing for time in that, but I think the thing is we have to be open, we have to embrace what's coming, the Age of Aquarius, we're living in it now, and it would serve you well as for each individual to be tolerant, take acceptance, and you know, live peacefully. That's what I'd like to say, definitely.
I think we're heading in that direction.
Yes, yes.
So if we don't have any more questions, do we? Any more questions? Yep, Tech Guy. Tech Guy's asleep. That's my story. I just took us back in time and everyone's gone. Anyway, you're with Christine and Ask Your Angels. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Do we have a question?
We have one.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It says, do we need to reach a critical mass?
These are not very specific questions. What does that mean? a critical mass.
You mean in consciousness? It's critical mass in consciousness where everyone's starting to open up and hear these messages and live this way, and suddenly it's going to turn. If that's perhaps what the question is.
Yeah.
Spirit. Yeah.
Okay, if that's the question. People in the spiritual community that that I contact for the show even are saying, "I'm so glad you're doing this," because in the spiritual world they're all saying we feel a great sense of urgency, and I have felt this throughout my life that I was running out of time. I always thought I was going to die young. Why do I feel like I'm running out of time? Because we have to get this message out, and we have to get more people we need to raise the consciousness, because we do believe we're going into that 5th dimension. So in other words, we're on the 3rd dimension now. This is the dimension where, worry and fear take over, or maybe we're not so kind to our neighbor, or maybe we're selfish, or maybe we're vain, or all that stuff has to go to get up to that 5th dimension. But what's going to happen is, this is the vision they keep showing me. It's kind of like going back, I keep seeing Noah's Ark.
Okay.
Whether or not I believe there was a Noah's Ark, but it's symbolism, and this is what they're showing me. Noah's Ark, and we're getting everybody on the ship. People are being left behind.
Yep.
This is what they're showing, is that you'll be left behind in the 3rd dimension. You won't know any different. You'll just carry on like you are.
Okay.
But what a beautiful place if we can raise everyone to the 5th dimension, where everyone truly cares about each other, and you're at peace, and you're happy. And it's kind of like a heaven on earth. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So does it make a difference that we're in the masses? No, but we want to be. We want everybody to come with us.
It's consciousness awareness, isn't it? It's raising consciousness. It's making more people aware of perhaps the spiritual realm.
Yes.
A lot of the time you do get resistance in the mainstream from these things.
Or political, or...
Well...
It's really just to remind people of the real reason why we're here. What is our purpose? Why are we here?
And people even actually watching your show now are therefore more inclined towards this type of lifestyle as well, living with spirituality. Otherwise they actually wouldn't be watching to start with.
Did we just lose 50 viewers?
No, because
but
it's
you're
true.
right.
Otherwise, because it's
just curious.
It's resonating with people. People are reaching out. You're getting more and more people talking to you, talking to me. I've never been so busy. And
we're all
people
busy.
are people are developing, and you're growing your 2 businesses that I know of, not to mention one that I haven't even given a thought to. But
and we have another question.
Okay, Medium Ruth has gone and asked, what do they think the strange noises that are being heard all over the world are?
Well,
and then she proceeds and says, I think these are angels blowing their horns to alert us.
oh my gosh, I just got chills. I want to answer this one, Medium Ruth. Thank you so much for saying that. We actually did talk about this at another show when we did the crystal healing. I believe it is angels. I heard it. Everybody was freaking out about it. For those of you who aren't familiar with the sound, you can go on YouTube. You'll hear it. It's kind of like a droning, humming. But when I heard it was like angels going and it just resonated, and I felt peaceful. And I felt like, you know how you hear about the horns, Gabriel's horn, and that's what I heard. And I said to everybody, this is the veil becoming thinner. We're hearing heaven. And what a beautiful, beautiful sign that is. Like, how can you not think that we're coming into such a wonderful age if we can hear heaven? And of course, again, the people that aren't hearing that, who are worried, again, are letting worry and fear take over. And not that that's wrong. I mean, we've been brought up to be kept in a certain place, right? Worry and fear is controlling. So there's people out there, unfortunately, who do want to control the masses and instill worry and fear every chance they get. So to answer your question, yes, I do believe those are horns, and it's heaven. Have you heard the sound?
I'm sorry, but I do have the harps on my cell phone.
Oh, do you?
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I don't actually hear messages like that. So.
Well, this is something that they've literally heard all over the world, and if you go on YouTube, you can see different parts of the world where it's shown. They can hear this, and you're thinking it's probably fabricated.
No, I'm not
No.
thinking anything of the sort.
I don't think it is, though.
I've just never heard of it. So.
Some of them we've listened to. Some of them possibly could be fabricated, but I tell you, I've heard a couple. They just resonate, and I just know. Myself, it's heaven. So,
Great.
did that answer the question? Hope I know I rambled on there. Okay, so any other questions before we say goodnight?
There we go.
All right. Well, thank you again, Allison.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Christine.
It's
It's been a
always
pleasure.
Great to have you back.
Thank you.
And again, would you like to tell our viewers how they can reach you?
Oh, yes, you can go to my website. It's www.starzology.com.
And if you'd like to check out our website, www.askyourangels.ca. We will be revising it soon, so hopefully you can find your way around a little easier. But do join us on Facebook, the Ask Your Angels Talk Show. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great night. We'll see you later. See you next week. Oh, next week. Dale Calloway actually does portraits. She can see your spirit guides. For those of you who are asking about your guardian angels, don't miss this show. You're going to love it. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week, and have a great week.